In my opinion, Fernando Luis Rosa, who is also known as Fernandinho, is one of the most underrated defensive midfielders of his generation. If you were to look back at the games he has been injured or suffered a suspension, you can see that Manchester City was affected by this. On the pitch, his box-to-box playing style has largely contributed to both the offensive and defensive attack. In his career so far, he has become well known for his incredible pace, his thunderous long shots, and he can make tackles to regain ball possession. With that being said, guys, welcome back to the pitch, and let's get into today's video. Born in 1985 in Londrina, Brazil, Fernandinho's career did not start at a football academy like most players. Instead, he worked small local jobs to help support his family and only played football in the streets of Brazil when he had some free time on his hands. By the time Fernandinho was 19 years old, he had saved up a bit of cash from the numerous jobs he worked as a young child, and with that money, he paid to participate in a football tryout that was being held by the Brazilian club Paranaense. Guys, if you were to think about it, this would be Fernandinho's first time playing professional football, which is way different from football he played in the streets of Brazil as a young child. At 19 years old, Fernandinho would spend the next 3 years with the club. In his 3 years at Paranaense, his performance was able to impress European scouts, which landed him a spot on the Ukrainian Premier League team Shakhtar Donetsk. The summer of 2005, the club would purchase a 20-year-old Fernandinho for a reported fee of 4.4 million euros, an offer Paranaense simply could not pass up. Fernandinho's debut would come up in a game against Carabas when he was subbed in at the 69th minute. Even though the game ended as a win for Donetsk with little impact from Fernandinho, he still got a taste of what it's like to play in the Ukrainian league. Then in late November, in a league game, he would go on to net his first goal. In general, his first season for the club had a positive outcome because he played a total of 23 games in the league and 2 matches in the qualifying stages of the Champions League, which is pretty good for a 20-year-old that was exploring new territory. Also that same season, the club would win the Ukrainian League for the 3rd time in its history, which earned Fernandinho his first gold in Europe. Then, in his next 2 seasons with the club, you couldn't imagine Shakhtar without its tenacious and ubiquitous midfielder that would take excellent shots and wasn't shy of making a tackle in order to stop opposing players. In those 2 seasons with Shakhtar, the club would win their league once and 2 Ukrainian Cups thanks to Fernandinho's 16 goals and 16 assists in the matches he appeared in. And Fernandinho at this point showed signs of a promising player across Europe. Then, this rise would also pique the interest of the Serie A club AC Milan, and it was reported that they valued him between 10 to 12 million euros. After his first 3 seasons with Shakhtar, Fernandinho's next 4 seasons with the club flew by quicker than you can imagine. In those seasons, the club dominated the Ukrainian league in fabulous fashion because of how much success they would earn. In fact, Shakhtar would win their league not once, not twice, but they would win their league for 4 straight seasons. They would also win 4 Ukrainian Cups and capture the first and only Europa League title in its history. Due to those 4 successful seasons, Fernandinho was given a new contract that had a reported worth of over 4.5 million euros. This contract showed that the club was invested in Fernandinho's abilities, but his success with Shakhtar would also draw in other large European clubs, and by November 2012, news broke that the Premier League team Manchester City wanted to acquire Fernandinho, who was 27 at the time. Like I mentioned before, other clubs like Inter Milan and AC Milan were interested, but only Manchester City surfaced in the transfer news reports repeatedly, since the club was in desperate need of a player like Fernandinho. By June 6, 2013, Shakhtar would agree with City for a transfer fee that was roughly around 30 to 40 million euros, and Fernandinho, now 28 years old, will be heading to Etihad Stadium on a 4-year deal, thus ending his 8-year successful span in the Ukrainian League that saw him and Shakhtar win the Ukrainian League 6 times, win 5 Ukrainian Cups, and win the Europa League title. An interviewer back in 2013 asked him why he made his move to England. He stated, "I chose to move to City because of the greatness of the team and their ambition to win titles. I know Shakhtar wanted me to stay so much, but in the very end, they understood my situation, my heart's desire, and without a doubt, they will always be in my heart." Moreover, Fernandinho would go on to make his debut for Manchester City on August 13th, 2013, in a 4-0 win for the club against Newcastle United. Later down the road, on December 13th, 2013, he would score his first and second goal for the club in a league game against Arsenal that Manchester City would win 6-3. Also, by the end of December, he was named Etihad Player of the Month. As the season would advance, Fernandinho would start a budding partnership with another midfielder by the name of Yaya Toure. Their partnership was that Fernandinho would sit in the back and break up any plays, which would allow Toure to join in the attack. In this diagram right here, you can see that Manchester City would run a 4-2-2-2, which was an attacking formation that required 2 midfielders that were highly disciplined. An article written by Bleacher Report in 2013 stated that Fernandinho was a key piece for the performance Toure would display on the pitch. Fernandinho provided excellent protection in the backfield and was always at the right place at the right time to make tackles and interceptions to push the ball back upfield for Manchester City. Fernandinho's performance allowed Toure to finish with 20 goals, which was 3rd best in the Premier League, only behind Daniel Sturridge's 21 goals for Liverpool and Luis Suarez's 31 goals for Liverpool. And guys, if you wanted to check out Luis Suarez's remarkable 2013-2014 campaign with Liverpool, you can find that video on my channel with this thumbnail. Anyways, let's get back to Fernandinho's first season at Manchester. At the end of his first season, the club would win the Premier League with 86 points and the Carabao Cup. Now we're going to move into Fernandinho's international career with Brazil for a little bit. His first appearance for the national team happened back on August 11th, 2011 in a friendly against Germany, but he wasn't called back up until his 2014 season with Manchester. In March of that year, he would go on to score his first international goal. Then he would continue to play for the national team until Brazil suffered their biggest defeat ever in a game against Germany in the World Cup semi-finals. Now, back to his club career. Manchester City's 2014-2015 campaign was definitely a strange one, to say the least. It had a slow start, with Fernandinho still playing a vital part of the team, but it didn't proceed the standard he set in his first season. Manchester would finish 2nd in their league, finished 3rd in the Carabao Cup, and didn't pass round of 16 for the Champions League. Overall, by the end of that season, Fernandinho was 30 years old, but he still had more to give. In the 2015-2016 campaign was a dreadful one for Manchester City. The club made efforts in the Champions League, however, they would only make it to the semi-finals before they were knocked out by the winners that year, Real Madrid. The only thing the team managed to win was the Carabao Cup, and they would finish in 4th place, their lowest ranking in 6 years. I can say Fernandinho stayed pretty consistent that season. He was the catalyst for most of the attacking that occurred. By the next season, Pep Guardiola was the new manager for the club that would take things in a new and different direction than former manager Emmanuel Pellegrini. In his first season, I can say he didn't have much to work with. However, the club would go on a 10-game win streak across all competitions from August to September, and by October, Pep had made this comment about Fernandinho. He stated that what we have done this season would have not been possible without Fernandinho. If a team has 3 men like him, they would be champions. We only have one, but he's fast, he's intelligent, he is strong in the air, and he can play several positions. When Fernandinho sees space, he runs to it immediately. After that, the season would continue and the club would finish 3rd, but it was merely a glimpse of what the future would hold. Moving along into the 2017-2018 campaign, they were given the nickname the Centurions by many football pundits because they were considered as the greatest team in Premier League history. The things this team was able to accomplish is just remarkable. And guys, I will be covering this season more in depth on a later note. All I can say, Fernandinho's performance would be vital to say the least. Anyways, that's the end of the video, since I'm pretty sure Fernandinho's 2019-2020 and recently the 2020-2021 Manchester City campaigns are still fresh in the memory banks. Just like I stated at the start of this video, Fernandinho, in my opinion, is one of the most underrated gems of his generation because his presence on the pitch is a matter of importance for all the clubs he has played for in his career. If you made it this far into the video, thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed, consider leaving a like, subscribing for more content, and have a great rest of your day, guys. Peace out.